Faith Evans was born in Lakeland, Florida. Her African-American mother, Helene, was only 18 when she had her. Faith's father wasn't around, and all Faith knows is that he's a white man named Richard Swain. Her mom was an aspiring singer who wanted to continue chasing her dreams after Faith was born, so she allowed family friends Bob and Mae Kennedy to take Faith to Newark, New Jersey to raise her. Faith now refers to them as her grandparents. The Kennedys were the foster parents to over 100 kids and ran a strict household. But as Faith grew up, hanging out with the neighborhood kids became more appealing. She admits that this led to her growing up too fast. After her mom's singing career flopped, she moved to New Jersey and got a house next door to the Kennedys. Faith would spend her time between the two households. At the age of 14, she joined a gospel group. This was around the same time she discovered boys, and her life would never be the same. The first boy she had a crush on was a shy and polite 11th grader named Reggie. He was the brother of her good friend Roz. Although he was sweet, she admitted in her memoir entitled Keep the Faith that she was more attracted to the boys who had cocky attitudes. Her first serious relationship was with an older, small-time substance dealer who Faith accused of cheating and putting his hands on her. She got pregnant by him when she was 15, but decided not to keep the baby. For her 16th birthday, Faith, her grandparents, her boyfriend, and some family members took a bus trip to Florida. Faith's boyfriend got his own hotel room, and at some point, one of Faith's cousins told her that her boyfriend had a prostitute in his room. Faith knocked on his door, but he wouldn't answer. Shortly after returning home, she found out her boyfriend had infected her with a disease. Due to the intensity of the infection, she had to spend a week in the hospital and was told she would have trouble conceiving in the future. But Faith proved the doctors wrong when she got pregnant by her boyfriend a second time at the age of 16. She ultimately decided to terminate that pregnancy as well. At the age of 17 and still involved with her boyfriend, she also began a romantic relationship with a married 35-year-old aspiring singer. She wrote in her memoir, "I knew what I was doing was very wrong, but I didn't try to stop it either." Faith graduated high school and received a full scholarship to Fordham University. While at Penn Station on her way to class, she bumped into a musician named Kiama Griffin. He invited her to a studio session to record some vocals for R&B artist Christopher Williams. She was still trying to end things with her first boyfriend and the married man when she began hooking up with Kiama and became pregnant by him. He and his crew were about to sign a production deal, and he told Faith she should move with him to LA. They would have the baby and become husband and wife. Faith accepted his offer, but shortly after he went to LA to secure housing for them, 19-year-old Faith found out during a conversation with his mom that Kiama had lied about his age and he was only 16. Faith couldn't turn back at that point. She dropped out of college and moved to LA. While in LA, she found out Kiama was entertaining other women. She realized moving there was a mistake, and while making plans to go back to New Jersey, she received a call that Puff Daddy was in a studio in LA working on a Christopher Williams song. He needed a woman to sing in the background, so Faith went, helped them out, and left. It was an uneventful first meeting between her and Puffy. She still needed a way out of LA, so she called her good friend Roz, who told her that her brother Reggie, the sweet guy Faith used to date, was in San Diego on tour and he would give her some money. By that point, Reggie had made a name for himself as the rapper Redman. He gave Faith about $500 and she was able to buy a plane ticket to go back home. In April 1993, she gave birth to her daughter China Griffin. Kiama's production deal dried up, so he and his friends moved back to New Jersey and began working with singer Albie Shore. After Al heard Faith's background vocals on a song, he invited her to be on his team and offered to pay her $2,000 a week. Her career was finally on track, and things were about to get even better. Puff Daddy called Kiama's crew and asked them to work on Usher's album. Since none of them had vehicles, Faith drove them. While there, Puffy needed a woman's voice on one of the songs. Faith was waiting in the lobby, so Kiama asked her to go in and sing. Faith recorded the part, and when she was done, Puffy was so shook he signed her to Bad Boy Records immediately. In the summer of 1994, during a Bad Boy Records photo shoot, Faith met rapper Christopher the Notorious B.I.G. Wallace. According to XXL magazine, Biggie had broken up with his high school sweetheart Jan Jackson about 3 months prior and was the father of a newborn baby girl named Tiana. In an interview with Vibe, Biggie said after seeing Faith, he told her, "You're the type of girl I would marry." Faith took him up on his offer. On August 4th, 1994, barely 2 months after they first met, Faith and Biggie got married in upstate New York. The couple eventually got a place together in Brooklyn. Faith revealed in her memoir she was pregnant at one point, but the pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. At the 1994 video shoot for the song Big Papa, Faith noticed a tiny girl standing next to Big. She later realized the woman was Kimberly Lil' Kim Jones, an up-and-coming rapper Biggie chose to be a part of his Junior Mafia rap group. Because Biggie didn't treat Kim with a lot of respect, Faith was convinced their relationship was strictly business. And besides, Faith was too busy trying to handle all of Biggie's other mistresses. When Biggie was in town, he started spending more time in hotels in Manhattan to be closer to the studio, while Faith and her daughter were alone in Brooklyn. Faith wrote in her memoir that as Biggie experienced more fame, their relationship weakened. His debut album was released in September 1994, followed by Faith's self-titled debut album in August 1995. As their popularity increased, one of Biggie's associates told Faith that she and Biggie were being targeted. Since people knew exactly where they lived, Faith packed up and left their Brooklyn home and rented a hotel room in Manhattan. Biggie was allegedly getting more reckless with his cheating. Faith found out he was entertaining a woman named Tiffany who was originally from Philly. Shockingly, Faith and Biggie never really broke up. They would still see each other, smoke substances, get intimate, and order food. That was their routine. One day while driving to the studio, Faith heard Lil' Kim on the radio with Wendy Williams, bragging that Faith and Biggie were no longer living under the same roof. Hearing Kim speak about her marriage made Faith realize Lil' Kim wasn't just another artist in Junior Mafia. She was Biggie's mistress. Faith eventually saved up enough money to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in Manhattan. And what about Biggie? Well, he got a home in New Jersey and moved the Tiffany chick from Philly in with him. Tiffany would later become known as rapper Charlie Baltimore. Faith was tired of fighting over Biggie, and she was also very lonely. In her memoir, she wrote that she hooked up with an NBA player a couple of times and an R&B singer. After heading out to LA to work on some projects, she stayed with a music producer and started sleeping with him as well. While at an LA nightclub, her friend Tretch from Naughty by Nature introduced her to Tupac Shakur. Tupac was recovering from being shot and had just been released from behind bars. Even though Tupac claimed Biggie, Puffy, and members of Junior Mafia were responsible for the shooting, Biggie told Faith that Tupac knew they had nothing to do with it. So when Tupac expressed interest in Faith singing on one of his songs, she didn't see a problem with it as long as he paid her a fee of $25,000. Faith was so focused on her career, she didn't realize how tense things had gotten between the East Coast and the West Coast. She didn't even know Tupac had signed to Death Row Records following his time behind bars until she went to the studio and saw the label's logo. She stated she felt uncomfortable, but laid down the rough vocals for a song called Wonder Why They Call You. When she asked for her payment, Faith said Tupac told her they could go to his hotel and his manager would drop the money off. Faith agreed, but when she got there, Tupac allegedly tried to sleep with her. Faith turned him down, and she said she never received the payment. After Death Row founder Suge Knight and Tupac alluded to something going on between Tupac and Faith during an interview with a newspaper, Faith realized she was being used as a pawn in the East Coast-West Coast beef. The producer she was hooking up with in LA owed her money as well, but Faith decided she would collect her payment later. She needed to get out of California right away. As soon as she returned to the East Coast, Biggie heard the rumors about Faith and Tupac's alleged romance. But Faith reassured him that nothing went down. Weeks after Valentine's Day 1996, she found out she was pregnant by Biggie. In her memoir, she wrote that she was initially having twins, but one of the eggs failed to develop. Biggie made reference to the twins and took shots at Faith on Jay-Z's song Brooklyn's Finest, where he raps, "If Faye had twins, she'd probably have Tupac's." She felt betrayed by Biggie, but she had more problems to deal with when Tupac referenced being intimate with her on his Biggie diss track entitled Hit 'Em Up. Completely stressed out by all the drama, Faith admitted in her memoir she continued smoking substances while pregnant to help her relax. Still pregnant, Faith decided to confront those who she felt did her wrong. She went back to LA to collect her money from the producer she used to live with. She ended up getting into an altercation with him and his sister at the studio, and a fellow producer named Todd Rasaw stepped in to calm her down, and they exchanged numbers. While back in New York, she confronted Lil' Kim in the studio and gave her a piece of her mind. Puffy and producer Stevie J had to rush in to pull the women apart. Tupac tragically passed away on September 13, 1996, during a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, and things were still crumbling in Faith's personal life. Biggie, Junior Mafia member Lil C's, and Charlie Baltimore were involved in a car accident that resulted in Biggie breaking his leg in 3 places. She visited Biggie once he was moved to a rehabilitation center, but she was really starting to like the producer Todd, whom she met in LA. Before things could get serious between them, she delivered her baby boy CJ Wallace in October 1996. Biggie sat in his wheelchair by her side during her labor and delivery. Faith said Biggie tried to reconcile with her by inviting her and the kids to spend Christmas Day with him in 1996. When Faith surprised him by stopping by on Christmas Eve, she found Lil' Kim in his bed. Biggie was putting the final touches on his sophomore album and was spending a lot of time in LA attending industry events. In the early morning hours of March 9, 1997, he lost his life after his SUV was ambushed by unknown assailants. Todd stayed by her side through it all. By the summer of 1997, they were an official couple, even though he was, quote, still tying up loose ends from his last relationship. Several months later, she found out she was pregnant. She gave birth to their son Joshua in June 1998, and she and Todd tied the knot and relocated to Atlanta. Todd also became her manager. Faith released an album in 1998 and another one in 2001. But then in 2004, she and Todd were locked up after cops pulled them over and found them in possession of a minimal amount of marijuana. A police rep told E! News they also found cocaine residue on Faith. According to MTV, they were sentenced to 3 years probation. Faith released her album The First Lady in 2005, and that same year, she and Todd quietly separated, but kept in close contact, because in March 2007, she gave birth to her 4th child, Ryder. At some point, she and her kids moved to California, and in August 2010, MTV reported Faith was locked up in LA on a DUI charge and was sentenced to 3 years probation. 2 months later, her album Something About Faith was released. In 2010, she was also hit with multiple tax bills totaling close to $600,000. Thankfully, she received a much-needed payday after being named co-executive producer and cast member on TV One's R&B Divas. In 2014, she released her album entitled Incomparable and went to work on creating The King and I, a duet album using some of her late husband's unreleased vocals. She teamed up with Puff Daddy and Stevie J to bring the album to life, and it was released in 2017. She had always seen Stevie as just a friend, but her feelings slowly changed. They began dating, but she announced during a March 2017 appearance on The Breakfast Club that they broke up because there was too much drama in his life. Their breakup didn't last long, though, and in July 2018, Faith and the father of 6 surprised us all by getting married in their Las Vegas hotel room.
Well, here's the thing. I know that they have known each other for eons, right? But I just don't know. You know, a person with such a checkered background,
well,
like
which one?
Stevie J.
Oh, okay.
You said which one?
I didn't know.
Stevie J, you know, I mean, what I'm saying is he's been with so many women. That's what I'm saying. And then they all been very public. The man just had a baby, Faith. He got a little baby with little Jocelyn Hernandez.
After it was announced that Faith was locked up in May 2020 for allegedly leaving scratch marks on Stevie's face, we wondered if she was involved in yet another toxic relationship, The charges were later dropped after Stevie refused to testify against her, but her fans are still concerned that maybe this isn't the right relationship for her. Faith has gone through a lot, so we really hope things between her and Stevie will work out. Whether they remain together or go their separate ways, we wish her the best.